Hi YouTube, it's Lena and I'm here today to introduce my Pan That palette for 2022. I like to introduce these in December because honestly, it lets me go ahead and get a little bit of a head start on them. Especially if I'm kind of wanting to use it or anything like that. So I have panned a few shadows out of this in the past. I actually panned one shadow out of it this year, so you might know if you've been watching my other project pans or watched my Pan That palette in 2019, no 2020, I don't know what year it is anymore. You might know what I'm gonna pan. This is the Ulta Avengers Palette. This came out in, I don't know. This came out in, I believe, 2019. Because I think it was related to Captain Marvel as well. So it came out for Avengers Endgame specifically from Ulta. And I have actually already finished 4 shadows out of here. 3 of them, like I said, I finished in 2020. And 1 I finished this year. And that is why the pan is actually missing, because it is in, you know, my actual like empties. So I'm going to swatch everything that I still have. And I probably won't set any goals for the first month, just try to get a little more familiar with it, because I have used basically everything in here at least once, but I don't remember quite how all these shades work. This is a fairly powdery palette, if I remember correctly, and all the shades that I've used up so far have been very powdery, so I don't foresee this being much of an issue. This year I was panning a Tarte mini palette, and the damn thing won't die. I admittedly haven't worn a ton of makeup this year like I have in years past, but at the same time, I figure I would have at least finished most of the shades out of it, and I've only finished 2 so far. So updates after this I will also still be talking about that as well. I just honestly didn't bring it over here this time. Kind of forgot, but this intro was really about this palette anyway. So first we have Hero Vibes. It is basically a red shade with some gold glitter in it. Although the glitter itself doesn't super translate in a swatch. And I'm going to skip that space right next to it because it is a swatch from another shade. Next is Out of This World. And it's just kind of like a bronzy shade, which is akin to shades that I'm trying to finish up right now from a different palette. The sleek When the Sun Goes Down mini palette that I'm also panning, which I will finish this year. Next is Game Changer, which is like in the palette it looks like it would be similar to Out of This World, but it's much more like an orangey gold, which is nice. And next is Gauntlet, which I'm going to swatch under Hero Vibes, which is just that much more maroony burgundy shade that I do really love and I'm happy to have in this palette. Next is Last Shot, which is definitely going to be like an inner corner highlight, just like a shimmery cream color. You might not even be able to see that on my skin. Next we have Built for Battle. Is this matte? No, this is definitely like a sheen. Kind of like champagne-y, almost got a little bit of pink to it. Next is Save the World, which honestly doesn't have a ton of pigment to it. Maybe I just needed to break through a layer. Honestly, Save the World does not appear to have much pigment to it. So that honestly, because of the lack of pigment, might actually work okay as a face highlight too, which I will keep in mind. Supercharged is one of the 2 mattes that I have left in here, because I used up the cream matte. And it's just kind of like a purpley matte shade that will work really well for me in the crease a lot for cool toned looks, which is not this hand at all, more this hand. And for the last 3, we have Cosmic, which is like, I hate saying like all the time, but I do it anyway. Like in the palette, it looks like it would be more of a shimmery purple, but it's definitely more like brown on my wrist. Next is my other remaining matte, and the one I have pan in here from 2020 is a matte navy called Reassemble. So I hit pan on that mostly by using it as an outer V shade, and that's probably how I'll use it up to, plus as a liner. And finally, I have Fearless, which pulls much more dark green than it does in the pan, but it's definitely like a forest green shade, which is nice. So, this month definitely I will be experimenting a bit with looks with it. Try to figure out maybe like the look I want to pan first out of it. It doesn't have a lot of, it certainly doesn't have a lot of crease shades in here. It really only has one. If I'm going for a really dark look, I guess I could use Reassemble as a crease shade, but that's not normally what I would use that for. Now the shades I already panned out of here were a like shimmery white, which was I Got This, Smash, which was a light kind of shimmery green, and Legend, which was a light blue that I wore with Reassemble a lot. Now I am panning a green shade in my Throwback 30 project pan. I'm just trying to hit pan on it currently, but that would actually probably go really well with Fearless. And I have a Franken shadow that is in my This Is Fantasy project pan that is fairly similar to Gauntlet, not quite the same, that I would use up first before I hit too much into that, but there's not a lot of product in that Franken, so I'm not too worried about it. I can definitely pair these other warm tones together really easily. And I will say I also have a couple of shades in my 50 Shades of Purple that I need to finish up by April. I would probably press those into these 3 empty pans just for ease of use. And they would certainly go with Supercharged and Cosmic really well. Even though Cosmic is less purple than you would initially expect, it would still go really well with those. And like I said, Last Shot and Built for Battle will both be fairly easy for me. Since they are really light, I can use them both as inner corner shades. Save the World doesn't have a lot of pigment to it, but I can either build that up over a base and it would be a fine like lid neutral shade, or I can just probably get away with wearing it as a face highlight depending on how things go. But yeah, I don't really foresee any problems with this. Plus I will have my remaining shades from my Tarte palette, which is like a deep matte brown and a shade that is fairly between these two shades, so that might end up being a little bit competitive-y, which would be a little annoying, but I have faith in myself that I can make it all work. So that is it. Thank you guys for tuning in. As always, I do really appreciate it, and hopefully I will see you later.